Hey y'all, welcome back to The Artist's Way. I have been doing a lot of stuff in the background, so it seems like I don't know why I'm explaining myself, but this is what I thought to start this video off with is I've been working in the background, working on other types of videos, even though I've just been posting about The Artist's Way, so get excited about what's to come because there is a lot coming. But now we are back to discuss week 5 of The Artist's Way. And I would say this was a pretty good week overall. This week's headline was Recovering a Sense of Possibility. And I'll read the full description. This week, you are being asked to examine your payoffs in remaining stuck. You will explore how to curtail your own possibilities by placing limits on the good you can receive. You will examine the cost of settling for appearing good instead of being authentic. You may find yourself thinking about radical changes, no longer ruling out your growth by making others the cause of your constriction. So, like the title says, this week we are exploring how to make what seems impossible possible and to redefine what possibility is in the lives of being a creative. So, first part we talked in the reading about limits and what limits we place on ourselves, and then finding or asking ourselves what payoff are we getting for remaining stuck at this point in your expansion. So I always say this about myself, but I say that I am my own worst enemy when it comes to restricting myself and limiting myself to what is possible. And I think too, that comes with a lot of other external factors. It's not just me, but at the end of the day, it is really me and the choices that I make in order to reach for what I want. And then we also talked about finding the river. The river is this sense of movement of the current change in our lives, and it's very important to discover that this is a flow of grace moving us to our right livelihood, companions, and destiny. With rivers and currents, and especially water, just thinking of it in a literary sense and what it means to the human mind, too. When we think of water, we think of it as an everlasting flow, it's always continuing, but also we think of the other side of destruction and how if you fight against the current, it's not doing you the best good, and sometimes you just have to get swept away into it and see where it'll lead you and trust in that process. So that's kind of how I took this week too and this reading. And then we also talked about the virtue trap. So the virtue trap is where we're doing work for others and not just for ourselves. Obviously, it's a give or take. We can't do everything ourselves, but at the end of the day, like I said, it is us in the end, and we can only help others as much as we're helping ourselves. And if we find that balance is tipped in the sense of we're helping others way more than we're helping ourselves and we're not finding that balance, that can really, I think, how I take it, that can really hurt you and hurt you in your journey and kind of stunt your own growth and creativity as well. So that is the virtue trap. Virtuous to a fault, these trapped creatives have destroyed the true self, the self that didn't meet with much approval as a child. Ooh, that's tea. So, at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself, what are my needs? What would I do if it weren't too selfish? Are you self destructive? So, we really have to think about that. And we did some exercises through the reading too. We always have to remember too, God is good, and so are we, and so is all of creation. So, any guilt that we're feeling, we always have to remind ourselves. I say we, but it's like me too. I have to remind myself that this is good and this is doing God's work, and what I create is God manifesting through me. So we did some other exercises like the virtue trap quiz, forbidden joys, talking about what we really love to do and not saying no or avoiding saying no. And very often the mere act of writing out your list of forbidden joys breaks down your barriers to doing them. Period. It's like manifesting and writing it out. And then we did a wish list exercise too to end this week's reading in a technique of speed writing and just writing out. This list has 19 wishes of what I wish to be. So some things I wrote was I wish I was rich. I wish for world peace. I wish I could speak Tagalog, and I wish I wasn't shy. I wish I was fearless. I most especially wish to be free. So that's just some things again, manifesting and writing down what we want and working towards in our real life how to get or how to reach that goal in those wishes. I also really liked the tasks this week. There was a lot of prompts to list specific things and then create an image file. I'll pull up my Pinterest board that I made. I plan to print all of these items out or all of these pins out in a document so I can um, put it in a journal or like scrapbook it and kind of just make that as my like vision board of my file of dreams. So through this file is a lot of wishes and things that I want to reach for and want to achieve in my life. And the different tasks that were given were list 5 desires, list 5 imaginary lives. If I were 20 and had money, list 5 adventures. If I were 65 and had money, list 5 postponed pleasures. 10 things I would like to own that I don't are. And yeah, I think that's it. Basically, I was supposed to collect these images throughout the week, but I kind of forgot about it because I couldn't see the list. I'm a very visual person and I need that reminder sometimes. So I just did the work last night to find like one image for each of these lists that I made. So then there are about like 30 images answering all of those lists and items, and I'm going to print them out, put it in a journal, and have it exist so I can manifest it. And it's nice that I have it in a digital aspect too in my Pinterest because I love Pinterest boards. And yeah, so let's go through the check in. How many days this week did you do your morning pages? I did 7 out of 7 again. I think this might be my second or third week in a row completing the morning pages in full for the week. So I'm very glad that that's been a consistent habit of mine. I know I'm not perfect. Maybe I'll slip up in the future. Who knows? But I'm really trying to commit to being consistent to that. And then this check in asks, are you like starting to like them at all? I love them. I think it's a very great way to clear my mind and just get prepared for the day. How was the experience for you? Honestly, just full contentment. I don't hate them. I don't loathe them, which is great. Have you discovered the page-and-a-half truth point yet? Many of us find that pay dirt in our writing occurs after a page-and-a-half of vamping. Honestly, yes. I think I answered last night in my journal that I have found that the page-and-a-half truth point happens either before that page-and-a-half checkpoint or after into like the last page. But yeah, usually sometimes I just find myself trying to get into it, whatever comes out of my mind, and then I really talk about whatever is prompted from that first introduction of the pages. So then, second part, did I do my artist date this week? I did. I went to the library. Well, first I went to the library and I was just going to read in there and then do some journaling, but it was so nice yesterday. Yesterday was Saturday, and after I talked to my old coworkers because it was at the old library I used to work at, I went outside, sat on a bench, and just did some writing and journaling. I was doing this work actually yesterday, so I was catching up on that, and that was really nice. And then I went to the craft store, to Joann's. My local Joann's store is closing, which I didn't know that. So it was nice to go in and see what they have left. And then I bought some yarn and some glue. The glue, one of them was to fix the binding on my morning pages notebook because I ripped that accidentally. The other glue was to be my scrapbooking glue because I ran out. Honestly, I think I could have just gotten one type of glue, but it's fine. You can never have enough glue when you're crafting. Then I bought like a spool of yarn, acrylic yarn, because I want to make a bolero, and I don't know if I got the right thickness, but it's a start. I was gonna try to find needles that are ergonomic for crocheting, but I was starting to get hungry and I had to do other stuff, so that's what I spent my artist date on. And that was super cool to go out and just explore and have time to myself outside because I'm usually inside, and trying to get out when I can is really nice, especially during the warmer weather. And other questions: have you had the experience of hearing answers during this leisure time? Have you taken an artist date yet that really felt adventurous? Hearing answers. So, actually, let me pull up what I wrote in my journal last night. Okay. Nothing profound, really. Just general contentment, like what I said before. Answers? I don't know if I've heard anything specific. I think I've just really enjoyed the serenity of spending time with myself, but not really like, I don't know, doing work that makes me feel good. And, well, work. It doesn't really feel like work, it's kind of just like having fun. I think that's what the goal is at the end of the day, to have fun on these dates. And then I have yet to go on an adventurous artist date. Here are some of my plans that I want to do. I want to go to Cantini. I haven't gone to Cantini in a while. It's like a, I'm pretty sure it's like a historic park. There's like cool statues and like those cannons from the past wars and stuff. But I haven't been there in a while, so I want to go there. And then I want to bake. This week I want to bake cookies, so I think I'm going to do that. Or bananas. It depends on how, or banana bread. I don't, it depends on how like old the bananas get by the end of the week, but hopefully I can save a few and they'll be ripe enough. And then ceramic painting by myself because I haven't done that yet. I want to do that too. I forgot to list the Morton Arboretum. I want to go there as well because I haven't been there in a while. And I love flowers. I love stuff like that. Nature. I love nature and being outside when I can. So, very cool. Other questions from the check-in. Did you experience any synchronicity this week? What was it? Try inaugurating a conversation on synchronicity with my friends. The next time I check in with everyone, I will ask about that. Hopefully I can remember, but I'll say that in this video. So, some random synchronicities. I can't speak right now. Some random synchronicities. Um, I've just been really thinking about Chicago lately and just being in the city, exploring. And my dad actually brought up an idea to go into the city and spend a weekend trip with our family there. He just brought this up randomly as I was driving home from the train station. So I was like, oh, that's so funny. We're kind of on the same wavelength now. So I wrote about that synchronicity. And I hope I can talk about this with my friends because I'm sure with the people that I surround with in my circles, like, I'm pretty sure everybody will understand what synchronicities are, or just like the coincidences that come up in our lives. I feel like we're all kind of on the same wavelength in some aspect in that way. And then lastly, were there any issues this week that you consider significant for your recovery? Describe them. I think the biggest issue that happened this week was, I think I talked about it in the last video from last week, was that I wanted to take a screenwriting course and have it sponsored by my work because they sponsor professional development. And I tried to make a case for it with my manager and like submit a form for like her to review, and then I think they talk about it in the manager cohort. But my request was rejected, and I understand their logic. It's like we're supposed to pursue courses that more align with our work, and screenwriting felt a little bit far removed from the type of writing that I would do in my work now. So I was like, I do get that. I understand. And I was pretty, calm and chill about it. But it is a little disappointing to not be able to have that sponsored. But I was like, I'm not going to get this, or I'm not going to let this affect me. And it's not like I'm shut off from screenwriting forever. Like, I literally took a course in college and I have the book, The Screenwriter's Bible. It's like somewhere in my room. I have to find it. But it's like a whole workbook of learning how to write a screenplay and learning the basics of screenwriting. So I was like, this is not going to deter me just because I can't take a formal course. I am going to reread the Screenwriter's Bible. I'm going to revisit my old notes that I took in college. And I have written two screenplays actually, so I'm going to write a screenplay after I do some learning. And I have a pact with one of my friends, Akira, because they are writing a book. And I told them that I want to write a screenplay and I'm going to write to the first act by the end of June. We have a pact that they're going to finish their book, I think, or like half of the book. And then I am going to finish act one of my screenplay. So putting that out in the universe verbally, that is the plan. So again, it's like not letting stuff bring us down. If a path is closed, there's always a way forward, even if it's not the way that you imagine it. So that's where I'm at after week 5. I think I said week 5, hopefully, because now we're in week 6, which is exciting. And actually, it's very relevant to what I was just talking about, because this next week is about recovering a sense of abundance. I'll read this before heading out. This week, you tackle a major creative block: money. You are asked to really look at your own ideas around God, money, and creative abundance. The essays will explore the ways in which your attitudes limit abundance and luxury in your current life. You will be introduced to counting, a block-busting tool for clarity and right use of funds. This week may feel volatile. So I'm excited to get into that because money and abundance and finding abundance not just monetarily is something super important and something that I really always work on and strive towards, especially in today's climate. So I'm excited to get into that this week. Thanks for watching and hearing me out on how week 5 went, and I'll be back next week. Bye. Oh, watch out for more content from me past the artist way, past what I've been doing, working on my creativity and getting that output to what I really want. So yeah, thanks. I'll see you soon. Bye.